So the Packers had a pretty tough Sunday, losing a couple key players, but the one injury I want to talk about today is Christian Watson. So he ended up going down with what they labeled a chest and shoulder injury on this play. And there's been a bit of confusion about the severity of this injury. At first, it looked a lot worse than it actually is, and they've come out and said that he might actually be able to play on Sunday. So I wanted to discuss what I thought about this injury and some of the differential diagnoses that I would come up with in this scenario. So first, I want to talk about what a severe injury would look like in this case, and I will admit, at first, this looks like a pretty severe injury. I mean, it's a pretty dangerous mechanism where we see some bad injuries occur. If we take a look at the replay we have here from behind the play, you can see that the first point of contact with the ground is going to be his elbow, and his upper arm is in a pretty straight, pretty aligned position. So what this is going to cause is what we would call an axial load, and this is going to be a load that's going in line with the bone opposed to like getting hit from the side, and this can cause some serious fractures to that humerus or upper arm bone. And just a couple examples that come to mind would be a comminuted or a spiral fracture of the humerus, and these are things that could lead to surgery and are season ending. And another injury I would label as season ending or severe would be something like a clavicle fracture or collarbone fracture. Again, this could be something that would require surgery, or something like Mike Evans' case where he'd be out around 6 weeks, which at this point would put us maybe deep into the playoffs. But again, they have come out and stated that it is not a severe injury, so these have both been ruled out. And they went as far to say that he is even listed day to day and limited by pain and functionality of his shoulder, with the chance of playing on Sunday. So with all of that in mind, the first thing I start to think of is this could be an AC joint sprain. Now, this is what we would call your acromioclavicular joint. So this is where your collarbone or your clavicle comes and meets what's called the acromion process of your scapula or shoulder blade. And the textbook mechanism for this would be falling on the tip of your shoulder. So with your arm to your side, you're falling and hitting the outside of your shoulder on the ground, which we kind of see here, but it could also be caused by that axial load to his humerus. So that could go push up, put pressure on his acromion to either go below or above the clavicle. When you take a look at the joint, you can see that it's kind of almost wedge shaped, so it's really easy for that acromion to either drive under or drive over that clavicle. And so with AC joint sprains, we actually use a grading system to determine the severity of the injury. So if he's looking to return in a quick fashion, I would say this is probably a grade 1, maybe grade 2 sprain to this joint. Another potential injury that this could be is what's called an SC joint sprain. So this is your sternoclavicular joint. This is the other end of the clavicle. This is where it's going to meet your sternum or your sternum bone, which is why it's called the sternoclavicular joint. And this is a lot less common than your typical AC joint sprain. The main mechanism for this injury is just going to be a trauma to your shoulder that basically transfers all the way to your sternoclavicular joint. Similar to the AC joint, what we see here would just be like a disruption to that joint, a sprain to the ligaments that hold it together. And this injury has a similar timetable for recovery as to the AC joint, typically just because the clavicle is a bone that moves around a lot with just about every motion at your shoulder or arm. So this is very painful, very limiting, but still a quicker recovery. So if I had to guess, I think we're either looking at a AC or SC joint sprain here, just due to the timetable of recovery and how this isn't such a severe injury as we thought it was. Now, something to note is I can't rule out a dislocation or a subluxation here. We can't really see the position of his shoulder due to the shoulder pads, but I think the timetable would be a little wrong. With a shoulder subluxation, you worry a lot about instability of the shoulder, and that takes a little bit longer than 1 week to recover or gain back. But again, that's something that I can't really say did or didn't happen with the views and the information that we have. But again, these are just my opinions of what happened in this injury. If you have any other thoughts, please leave them down below. I'd love to hear what other people think.